Okay, at some point, you gotta realize you're not the young one anymore. Like, I know we don't feel old, but let's be real. We're not the kids in the room anymore. We're the ones getting looked at like, you grown. You should know better. And that's crazy to me because mentally, I still feel like I just got here. But life be reminding me very quickly, like with little stuff. You ever notice how the same kids who used to fight to be the first in line never grow out of that stuff? They just become adults who speed up when you're trying to merge in traffic or don't use their blinkers like it's a personality trait. Like, I'm 33. If you're watching this, maybe you're in your 30s or your late 20s. Maybe not. Welcome. What's crazy for me is that, we don't feel old. A lot of us, are still moving around and making decisions like we gotta ask somebody first before we are able to do it. When we don't. We're the decision makers here now. Or even physically, for instance, I worked at an elementary school in California, right? Thought I could still run around with these kids on the blacktop like I used to back in my tetherball days, but I ended up on workers' comp. Like, true story. And that's when it really like hits you. Like, okay, I might feel young, but my body said, we can't do that anymore, sweetheart. I don't know what you thought this was. And then you look around and Gen Z, they're not kids anymore. They're grown. They have their own kids at this point, making their own decisions, living real lives, going to work, paying their own bills. Some Gen Zers are already walking around with their own little Gen Alphas with tablets in their hands like it's normal, whole phones at like 5. And I'm like, I had to beg for a phone in high school and still didn't get one. I had to save my lunch money and sneak and get one by myself. Like, the difference is bizarre and crazy, but I'm pretty sure my great grandmother felt the same. And that's what makes this whole thing feel so weird because, on one side, again, you don't feel old. But on the other side, you can clearly see you're not where you used to be. And I think that's where the real conversation is, because it's not about growing up like people say. It's about realizing you're already grown. And now it's like, okay, what are you actually going to do with that? Because life didn't go how you planned. Cool. Most of the time it doesn't. But you're aware of that now. And awareness comes with responsibility. So what's actually stopping you now? Not in a harsh way, just like I'm being real. What's actually stopping you now? Because at some point, you got to stop looking around like, when is it going to happen for me? And realize you're the one that makes it happen. And that part is pretty uncomfortable because, it's not about age. This is about action. And I think about my dad sometimes, my biological dad. He's been a rapper my whole life, like, literally. Like, that's how I've always known my dad. And to this day, he still talks about his music, his goals, his vision. Like, don't count him out just yet. And he's older, way older than when I thought people were supposed to have it all figured out. Me and my sister, I remember being 8 and she being like 10, 11, and we used to dream of the day we would be on MTV Cribs after our dad made it as a successful rapper, But this stuff like this, when I talk to my dad and he's still talking about working on his album or he's in the studio doing this and that, it makes me realize something, that there is no moment where you just arrive. You just are constantly becoming who you're meant to be. That's whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, you're still figuring things out, right? So it's not about feeling old, because honestly, you might never feel old the older you get. And that's the truth. Have you ever met someone who's old and you're like, dang, they act like they my age, or they have such a young soul, or someone who's young and they say they have an old soul. Life will still move on regardless of if you feel old or if your body feels old or is telling you, hey, sit down. At some point, you gotta meet it where it's at. And if you've been sitting here this whole time, really listening, then you already know exactly what I'm talking about. Not even from me, just from your own life, So don't overthink it. Just take it one step at a time. I appreciate you for being here. You've got a grateful heart. If you're not already subscribed, go on ahead and do it. What you waiting on? I love you. I'll sit with you in the next one. Peace.